What's going on, people? Welcome to your night view. Welcome to your morning view. Happy Tuesday, 14th of November. Hope you lot are good, man. Obviously, it's the beginning of the international break. So usually we get a bit like, me and Owen were just talking about the national break just a second ago, especially this stage of it, where it's qualifiers after your respective nation has already qualified. Hopefully for you, they have. But in England's sake, they're playing, what is it? Malta at Wembley, is it? Or North Macedonia?
Malta.
Playing Malta, already through, and it's like, oh. However, though, I think for us, we've been kind of forcing international breaks, is a chance for us to get players back. It's a chance for our injured players to rest or to keep building up their recovery process. So I suppose there's pros and cons, but as the fans, where we want game after game, we want to just focus on Man United. It is very annoying. So, but what usually comes with international break, which is this is no different straight off the bat, is Manchester United news. And today is about none other than Jadon Sancho. We've seen some people on the Footy Insider talking about it, most notably as well. Fabrizio Romano talking about it as well, having some big things to say about Jadon Sancho and his future. So we're going to be talking about that. And typical Man United, there are a couple of injuries in terms of obviously Eriksen and Rasmus Højlund, which we knew from yesterday, but we'll talk a little bit about that today and what could happen today. So, over the course of the next couple of weeks. So, yes, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Members, get involved in the chat. Let the non-members know what they're missing out on. Okay, I'm going to task that with you guys. You lot can do that. And yes, everybody get involved. He loves the club, says Crafty Skills. And he doesn't love the club, says Daniel Luciano, obviously talking about Jadon Sancho. Owen, what's going on?
Well, before we get into Jadon Sancho as well, you mentioned what goes on international breaks and all that kind of stuff. I tell you what happens on international break. People start slandering Manchester United. Okay. Yes. And you know what I would say to them, Flex? Those people that are slandering Manchester United, you know what I would say?
You better watch out because we are come for you.
That's what I'd say to them. That's what I say. Wow. Well, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I wouldn't say that. I'd probably more say,
you'd better watch out. We're real, and we are a terror.
Owen.
The procedure will be parliamentary.
Maybe I'd probably say that the second part, not the first part.
What was the first part? What did you say the first time? Go on.
You better watch out because we are come for you.
And then straight away it'll be like,
sorry.
Owen, yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, do you know what? You could basically end up being like Chris Eubank.
Yeah.
Like, because you're picking it up at the moment, yeah? You're learning about the Jamaican mother tongue. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're learning about the patois. Like that technically could be you very soon. Do you understand what he was saying in the first bit?
You bet. Wow, he translated. That was
you'd better watch out. We're real, and we are a terror.
And did you get that from the first?
The procedure
bit?
Will be parliamentary.
Do you know what? Actually, can I be really honest with you, Flex?
You didn't know. You didn't have a clue in the first one.
There were subtitles. So
for fuck's sake,
there were subtitles.
Oh,
I heard you better watch out, but I didn't get the second part. And then, because we'll come for you. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. That's what he said. I like the sorry though. I like the sorry. The one thing Jadon Sancho won't say.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. Marcus Rashford runs into three players.
Sorry.
Rafael Varane against Copenhagen gives the ball away.
Sorry.
Journalist to Simon Peach when they ask about team news first in the presser.
Sorry.
The Qatari in the know accounts when Ineos is announced next week.
Sorry.
The Glazers when they get a phone call, club accountant. Why does a private jet cost $250K to go to Wembley?
Sorry.
Someone said, who is the person? Red Devil said, who is the person in the soundboard? That is Chris Eubank Sr., legend of the sport of boxing and just all-round legend of a guy, to be honest. I love Chris Eubank. What a guy. What a guy. Oh,
and when he does it in that first bit, it's that he does it like a stare to camera. He probably snarl as well. You know,
He does. That's not the first time he's done that. Obviously,
I sent it immediately to Flex yesterday.
Yeah, did you send that to me?
Yes, I did.
Oh, was that you sent it to me first? Someone else sent it as well.
And then Josh sent the same thing to me as well, and I went, I've just sent that to Flex.
It is brilliant, and it's just soundboard worthy. That is, you know,
it is
like Arteta just gave us. He just basically said, "Owen, this is for you and your soundboard." Arteta said that basically.
Yeah.
Lee basically said that for his done okay, and you know, Chris Eubank Senior's done the same.
You better watch out because we have come for you.
That is, I love it. Oh, I love it. It's wicked. It's wicked. It's wicked. It's wicked. But Jadon Sancho.
Jadon Sancho. But Rich Gerardo has said he understands that Juventus have asked for informations on Jadon Sancho in a deal in recent days. He's set to leave Manchester United in January. Juventus are interested, but only on a loan plus part, not the full, part of the salary covered by Manchester United. No negotiations yet, as Manchester United prefer to wait for permanent deal bids. So basically, the situation is that Juventus have just asked, what does this look like? What does the Jadon Sancho deal possibly look like in January? They want a loan, bit of salary covered by United. And when they say a bit, probably a lot. Let's face it, Jadon Sancho's salary is massive. It's the biggest at Manchester United right now, isn't it? Right, 350k a week, something like that. Juventus ain't doing that. No chance whatsoever. So United are probably hoping that maybe some permanent offer comes on the table. But realistically, is there going to be a permanent offer that comes on the table? Considering, again, the wages involved here and how much we bought him for. We're not going to get what we bought for him, but still he'd command a substantial fee. Is anyone really going to do that? I think, is United waiting, Flex, to say, oh, we're waiting for permanent deals? Is that basically we hope someone from Saudi gets involved? Is that really what they're saying there?
Yeah, because this is where it gets difficult, because we obviously in the club want him to go to Saudi. Well, we want basically someone to come in January and pay the money there and then and pay it up front, whether that's 50 million, 60, whatever it's going to be. Yeah. And we want the money now. We don't really want a loan. But if we're being realistic, if he stays in this country, or not even this country, if he stays in Europe, it's going to be a loan. I think maybe Chelsea is probably the only people you could say stupid enough, but you know how they spend. They'll probably be someone who probably could afford Jadon Sancho in January. Other than that, I don't think many people can or would even do it. Do you know what I mean? After what's happened as well, especially in the Premier League, it's like our clubs in the Premier League are more likely to go, we'll have a loan to the end of the season, see how it goes. We can pick up his wages until, you know, or half it with you guys or whatever it is. We can cover that until the end of the season, and then we'll look at it. Chelsea's probably the only team that would say, Todd Bowley is probably the only man who would come and just say, no, yeah, 50 million, we'll pay that. We'll sell someone who hasn't really played for us yet, get 25 million for them out of nowhere.
Is there a youth player we can get rid of? And a
player? Exactly, a youth player. I mean, a Baroja didn't, you know, he got a long injury and, you know, could just say, Madueke hasn't really worked. He's probably not going to get in. They bought him for like 25 from like PSV, something like that. They might just go, you know what? Let's just sell him for 15 now, 20. Let's just do it.
And they'll
move.
They'll do craziness. Like people were very surprised. Remember, didn't they break the record for January spending last year?
Yeah,
because they viewed it as, like Man United view the January transfer window as you can't do deals in January. It's pointless. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Chelsea just viewed that as just another transfer window.
100%.
Sign Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah. So exactly. So and for 120 million. So I had someone did say to me that there was a Chelsea thing going on. That's all I'll say on that. That Sancho wants to go to Chelsea. There was a Chelsea thing going on. That's where he wants to go. But interesting to see this now coming out with Juventus. Let's see how this plays out. Maybe that was, maybe that was his thoughts before. Maybe it isn't now. I don't know. Maybe there is something to it. Maybe that's just what someone told me. But the Juventus situation is, if it's going to be them, let's be honest, you look at the money situation. Juventus are in dire straits, absolute dire straits.
Doing well this season, though. Serie A the second. They're probably the team competing with Inter Milan, who kind of running away with it a little bit in Serie A. But they're doing okay.
Like they're
but
still
financially,
recovering from a lot of bad stuff. And it's like you said, and even if they weren't recovering financially, just Serie A in general isn't usually that league in terms of financially being stable and paying big wages and big money. So it would be a loan to the end of the season. And then you're thinking, what would that look like at the end? So, but we selfishly want it all done now. We want him, I say we want him gone. I don't want to speak for everyone, but we can admit that it's over. So the best solution is for him to leave. So if it's not Saudi or Chelsea, I don't see who comes in and buys him in January.
Yeah, and also as well, when you think about transfer plans, I think, like I said, I don't know if you can say everyone wants him to go or anything like that, but I think the general feeling would be if he is to go and it's over, which for me, it's over, then you start to get, okay, what's the best deal for United in this situation? The best deal is a permanent one, isn't it? Because then we've actually got money to play around with January, which we saw it in the summer, particularly at the end of the window. It really is one out, one in. So, if Jadon Sancho can go and we can get another winger or whoever, on the right-hand side, of course, let's go for it, because Anthony is not it, is he ever going to come good? That's a bigger conversation to have. At the moment, Marcus Rashford's playing there because Garnacho has been playing on the left, and ironically enough, because of Rashford's limitations, he might actually be playing better on the right-hand side. But then, you get into Garnacho on the left. Garnacho is such a weird one because every single time he does something good in a certain game or, comes on or starts game, you go, oh, he did okay. The next game, you then remind yourself, you go, maybe you shouldn't start games, actually. Maybe, you know what I mean? And that's what it was a bit like when we played Luton. When he misses a couple of chances and you go, actually, maybe he still needs to sort of come in and out of the team, and maybe it should be Rashford on the left, and then you're looking for that right-hand side again. So look, if we can get a decent offer, like you said, for Sancho, then United have got to take it. But in January, is anyone going to pay? It's not even necessarily the transfer fee, isn't it? It's the wages. That's the biggest stumbling block.
Exactly.
It's not that there isn't a team out there willing to pay 50, 60 million for James, because of course there is. It's football. But is a team willing to pick up or help bridge the gap of a 350k wage? Because let's face it, is anyone in world football that maybe isn't in the Saudi league, is anyone going to give him 350k realistically? And I think the answer is no. I can't.
Anyone not in the Saudi league?
Yeah, anyone that isn't in the Saudi league. Yeah.
No. And
Chelsea, by all accounts,
would Chelsea put him on 350k a week?
No, they wouldn't. Well, that's the thing with Chelsea, isn't it? Is that they point out that yes, they spend big, but didn't they say actually their wage structure is okay?
High,
because
in their whatever model it is that
because
they're doing.
Because they also because certain players they'll go, look, well, yeah, I'm not getting this amount of money a week, but I'm getting it for 10 years, I'm fine.
Even though they're never going to stay them 10 years.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the Saudi league,
he's going to have to take a salary.
But when it comes to the Saudi league, just very quickly, Ben Jacobs did say also yesterday that Al Ettifaq was the team that was in for him in the summer. Because remember that thing happened on sort of deadline day for them, and by all accounts, they're not interested now. It was either the summer or it's off. They couldn't even get Jesse Lingard on the books because Lingard wanted a certain amount of money, and because of their wages, their budget wasn't there, and that's a Saudi club. So
that's mad, yeah.
Where would they find 350k or more? I don't know where they would find that. So that's not to say there isn't a Saudi club. You never know, right? I think just in the same way that people were looking at the Saudi teams in the summer and being like, wow, we didn't see this coming. Like, look at what they've done. It's incredible. I don't think anyone knows what to expect from them in January, because they might just do it all again. Let's see what we can get.
Exactly. We have to be aware of it, because, like you said, they can come at any moment. But that is the only way I see Jadon Sancho leaving on a permanent. I think anyone else, it has to be a loan. Does that help Man United? Well, I suppose, yeah, it does, because you've got a player there who doesn't want to be there. You've got a manager there who doesn't want the player, and it's completely severed. And every passing day that goes by that he's still there, even though he's not around the first team operations right now, every day that he stays there and we have to pay 100% of his wages, is money we could be spending on other things. You know, it's as simple as that. It's a drain of resources. It's a drain of energy. It's a drain of time. And also you have to line it up for the summer as well. So you got to let him go and start playing some football. Because, you know, if you're advertising to try and sell this player, which it seems like we are, he's on the transfer list. One of two things: he either needs to go and start making relationships at a new club and play well enough at that club where they go, "Yep, that's what we want," and they buy him, or he plays well enough at a club where his stock, in a weird way, not weird way, but his stock rises. Because let's be honest, his stock has absolutely fallen since he's come to Man United. Even before this happened, his stock had fallen, and now this has happened. Clubs will be looking at it, whether it's for right or for wrong. You know, we don't know the full story of about a lot of this, but clubs will look at this and go, problematic though. That's problematic. Like, you know, he's falling out with a manager. Could that happen here? What's his mentality like? I'm not saying he's blacklisted and can't get a club again. I'm just saying these are things that the longer it goes on with him playing no football, just sitting there, you know, if he doesn't secure a loan move, other clubs in the summer will be like, well, it was so bad. No one even came for him on loan. No one even wants to take a gamble. Like, what is he that bad attitude wise? People start to question these things.
Well, there'll be negotiation. There'll be a lot of negotiation. Why?
Exactly.
Because
put that price right down. Put that down to 30 million. It's been a lost cause for a year. And last year before that, he wasn't even good. 2 years before that,
they'll want to get what they perceive to be close to their money's worth, even though they know it's very difficult considering the circumstances. Because they got no leverage in this. They've got a player that's fallen out with the manager on high wages, and people know that Man United want to sell him and need to sell him as well. So the leverage is tough there, but they still don't want to be taken for mugs. Whereas, like you mentioned, the buying team will look at someone going, we can actually get a player like Jadon Sancho for actually probably way beneath his value. We can do some good business here. So, you know, United are going to have to, it's going to be funny actually, because if Paul Mitchell's in by then, that could be like one of his first bigger tests, couldn't it? Of like, what type of deal do you get for Jadon Sancho? Can you somehow get a deal that coming out of it, United fans and the Ineos hierarchy that are involved in the footballing committee or whatever go, we did all right there?
What would that be? Let's talk about that. What would that be?
I don't know.
In your opinion, like what? Let's both give our opinions. Like what? If I could say to you, paint a picture of the end of this Jadon Sancho thing, what would the sort of fee be? Where should he arrive? Lil Yo-Yo said, would you sell him to Newcastle? You know, if he goes to a rival, like a direct rival, is that a bit dodgy? But then again, it's like, it doesn't matter. If it didn't work at us, it didn't work. If it works for them, it works for them. Because it's untenable here. Can't get him back playing again, so it doesn't matter. What in Owen's world, what is the ideal set? You're Paul Mitchell. What's the best deal you can get for Man United? Best outcome?
Well, I don't, again, about selling to a rival, whatever, I don't particularly care about that because I think we're kind of limited with those options. So if he goes
if he went to Arsenal, if he went to Chelsea, if he went to Newcastle,
it's what it is. It's not working out United.
He went to Liverpool, right?
If they're willing to pay, if they're willing to pay, cool. No problem with that. As far as financially, what kind of fee am I looking for? How much did we buy him for? Is it like 70?
70, I think it's a bit more than that, maybe 73, 77, something like that, 75.
Ideally, I'd be looking at something 50-ish, but I don't know if we can get that in January. I'm not sure. But then I say that, again, Chelsea spent over 100 million in January, so why not? Why not? And it's football. It's now modern day football where most transfers are like 40 million. So for Jadon Sancho, for a player of his quality, you would say actually 50. Yes, so 50 million. Get 50 million. It's the wages. If it came out, we sold him for like 50 million or something like that, and they went, and United are only covering like 10% of his wages or whatever, you'd be like, oh my God, Paul Mitchell's had a blinder. Do I think that can happen? No, I just don't. I just don't. Because he's got a contract. You know what I mean? He's got a contract. So
it's not easy. It's not going to be easy at all. It's not going to be easy at all. That is a good situation, you know. That is a good situation, but it's not easy. And I do agree with you. I think if we could get, considering all of what's happened, and before that, let's not forget his stock was going down. Like the last 2 seasons, when we got him, it was like
But in the same
waiting
way,
for him
this,
to
and
arrive.
this is where we have to be, I think, careful because it's not worked out at United. The circumstances are bad. But let's also not downplay his actual value. Because you know, like some people will be like, he's not even worth 20 million. And you go,
Yeah,
well, come on.
no, he's 50. He's 50 now.
50 is a fair price, I think, for
Yeah.
Jadon Sancho, given the current circumstances and what's happened over the last couple of years. It's the depreciation from where he was, which again is wild because how old is he? Like 22, 23, something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, he's young.
He's young.
He's young. Yeah,
he's young. And he's
He won't get
English.
30, he says Compost. Won't get 30 million for him as well. Says who said that? Oh, it's gone now. Someone else said it. Sell him to Chelsea. He's bad for the dressing room. Premier League clubs don't need to be forced into to break ranks on players they can't get by with squad players. Says Wizard. Joe says those wages are crazy. If not Saudi, we're getting 20 million max because of the wages. Cheeky 25. We need backup for Saka. Must be a Liverpool fan there. LM Silv. Apparently Hurricane makes 418k a week. Yeah, I'm still think Sancho outlasts Ten Hag, says Tom. Scholesy says swap deal for Chiesa. I know, wishful thinking. Yeah, very wishful thinking. He's their best player, isn't it? Chiesa. With his wages, Juventus won't bid 15 million. LOL. Says Joe H.
Oh, Juventus,
well.
Juventus aren't buying him for 50. This is my ideal. You asked me what my ideal thing would be. Be 50 million, and I don't think we can be naive enough to be like, oh, it's just someone buys him 50 million and we don't worry about his wages, unless he went to Saudi because they would just give him a massive contract. But yeah, I think that would be the only one, really. I mean, like I said, the Chelsea one, if people say Chelsea wouldn't spend 50 million for Jadon Sancho, then they're on crack because Chelsea will spend anything in January.
Yeah, well, they spent 40 million on Cole Palmer, who was obviously unproven, not a big track record.
They'll do it.
Hardly played a first team game for City.
It.
I think if Chelsea believe the players that's the player for Poch, they'll pay whatever it is within reason. They will. I think they will. But I do think for Sancho, if I'm honest, I think we're looking at between 40 and 50.
To be honest, I think the most likely outcome is I do think I don't know if we necessarily sell him. I can just see him going on a loan, obligation to buy, you know.
Yeah, at best as well. Might even just be a loan to, because that's what I mean. Man United are in a bad position. Every other club who tries to come in for Jadon knows that Man United want to move him on. Every club that comes in for Jadon knows that Jadon wants to get out. So you've got two, as a buying club or prospective buying club or loaning club, you've got two really massive things that go in your favor that give you massive bargaining power. And then if you add a third, which is he's on stupid wages, which probably no one in Europe would give him. No one else would be silly enough to give it to him in this version of Jadon Sancho. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's watch this space. Let's see what happens with that. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Injury updates. Let's talk a little bit about that because obviously Højlund and Eriksen
breaking, right? Flex breaking.
Yes, breaking
news. Yeah. But this was confirmed by Manchester United yesterday. We knew that Eriksen and Højlund had been taken out of the Denmark squad for the upcoming international games. United confirmed that Christian Eriksen has a knee injury that is set to keep him out of action for around a month, while Rasmus Højlund suffered a muscle strain, and it is hoped he will return before the end of November. So Eriksen, I guess you're looking at, I mean, it's the 14th of November, so you're looking at him not being back before Christmas. Let's face it, right? Højlund before end of November, so a couple of weeks. It's probably, I mean, he's on his hamstring.
Hopefully that couple of weeks is this.
Break. Yeah. He was holding his hamstring when he came off, wasn't it? And I think there was a bit of a thought of, depending on how you've done your hamstring, like even if you've just pulled your hamstring, immediately 2 weeks. It's always like 2 weeks minimum. You know what I mean? Minimum 2 weeks. So maybe, like you said, we might get a little bit fortunate with Højlund in the sense that
I think it'll be longer though because he might be 2 weeks where he can't train properly. So then when it gets to the 2 week, when it gets to the next game, what's that, on the 26th or something like that?
Something like that. He's not playing against Everton.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have trained properly by then. No. So it's like
the one that they might be hoping for. They'll be going, is he going to be fit enough for Galatasaray? And that feels quite tight. You know what I mean, doesn't it? That feels quite tight, that one. Realistically.
Any chance.
But look, this is the Eriksen one. I saw someone saying this on, I think it might have been Andy Mitten on social media yesterday, and it's so true when he goes that it's a revolving door of injuries for us this season, because just when you get a couple back, and some are coming back, more go out the door again. So you get Wan-Bissaka
and look how he
back.
got injured as well.
I know, you get Wan-Bissaka back, you get Shaw's coming back, Malaysia's coming back, and you're like, finally, all right, cool. And then suddenly 2 more out again, and you go, oh, for God's sake. And then it's just constant. It really is constant. So as for who's going to replace Eriksen, well, Mount came on at the weekend. I guess this is Mason Mount's opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah.
The striking one's concerning, because we saw how we started the season without a striker, basically, and it was bad. But at the same time, it's not as if we're scoring any more goals than we were at the start of the season. That's not that's not Rasmus Højlund. That's not Rasmus Højlund. That's just the sense of like, we just, can't put the ball in the back of the net or anyone. But Martial's got to step up, mate. It's got to be the time.
Yeah, and he's been playing
the same thing.
Because he's
not been injured, because he's not playing.
Exactly. But because he's so rusty, he's coming on in the last 8 minutes of games, 10 minutes of games. What's he going to do? Like, he's got no sharpness. He's got no match fitness. He's probably got not much desire to be there now as well, because Højlund's come in, and let's be honest, he's starting all the games, playing 90% of the games as well during the game. And Martial's just coming on to help him lighten the load, which is exactly what we said would happen. Martial's place this year is just going to be to just help Højlund just manage the load. Not in terms of goals, because he's not coming on early enough to even say, oh, don't worry, it hasn't worked, Højlund, let me come on and score. It's literally just to see games out, so Højlund can get a bit of a rest.
Swapped. Instead of Højlund coming off after 60, 65 minutes, just Martial is going to come off after 65 minutes. It's going to be interesting, and I don't mean
Rashford's going to have to go up front, because Martial can't play 90 minutes.
I don't mean this to sound like horrible or negative, but just out of pure sort of, I guess, morbid curiosity with Anthony Martial, because he's going to play more minutes than he's played so far this season.
Yeah.
And again, he hasn't been injured this season because he hasn't been playing. If he starts playing and suddenly he gets injured, then you must look at him and just go, mate, your career is in big trouble, because clearly you can't play football at the moment. Like that is just the fundamentals of it. Now, hopefully, maybe it might be a situation where, because, and I'm fully on the hopium here, I acknowledge that, but maybe it's a case of, because he hasn't played so frequently, he has been able to build himself up a bit. You know what I mean? So that, because the problem is what happened last season, he kept getting injured, and we just let's get Martial back because we don't have a striker. Maybe it might be a case of he's actually been able to.
When he's fully ready. If he's not fully fit now, I don't know.
There's no reason he shouldn't be. I mean, he's coming on with 10-minute cameos. And to be fair to him, he's done all right. Whenever he's come on, everyone goes, hey,
some of them,
because he's not bad. Martial's not a bad player. We've seen that. But now, I tell you what, Flex, the day that he plays 90 minutes, I mean, the full-time whistle goes and Anthony Martial's on the pitch and he started the game, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know.
You just look on in disbelief, wouldn't you? And congratulate him, to be fair, because it would be a big milestone for him.
Oh, massive.
It'd be a big achievement. I don't think, he wouldn't have done it in over a year now, we're getting to.
But he won't. He won't, because Ten Hag will always take him off. He will always take him off. And then you start getting a real mixed bag. Like I said, if Rashford started on the right, that means around 70 minutes, 75 minutes, Martial's coming off. Rashford's going to go up front. Anthony's going to come on and go on the right. Do you know what I mean? It'll be Martial for Anthony, ironically. That's probably what it'll be. I know we could be overthinking. You never know. Højlund could get back quicker and all of this is redundant. Who knows? But I do think already it's a bit of a stretch at Everton. If he's out till the end of November or, for a couple of weeks, let's just guess. That's difficult. That's very, very difficult. And like you said, with the Eriksen thing, it's like, even if there's question marks on Eriksen where we're like, oh yeah, legs and gets run past and just this, that, and the other, it's still a plan that Erik ten Hag was willing to implement for a sustained period of time. Let's be honest. We could see in the last few games, he's saying that I want Eriksen in there because he's technical. I'm going to leave Mount out. I want Bruno. Now I've put Rashford back on the right and Ante's not doing it. Basically, we could see his midfield three was McTominay, Eriksen, Bruno. That's what he wanted to persist with for a little bit to get it going. He said he'd like the balance. He liked the balance.
And now all of a sudden, straight away, he now already can't do that. Gone. No, so it is, but it is a chance for Mason Mount. This is, You know, the same way how Harry Maguire had to wait his turn, Scott McTominay had to wait his turn for injuries to Casemiro, and you know, a slow start for Amrabat. He had to bide his time. You know, people have had to wait their turn. Martial's had to wait his turn now. You know, if you got aspirations of doing all right and getting some football and feeling good about yourself and playing some back-to-back games and stuff, well, it's going to be now. So let's see what you got. You know, Garnacho's waited his turn for ages. Now he's kind of like, because Anthony's doing so shit and Rashford's got to go out of there, he's going to get a run of games. I'm not saying he's been playing amazing, because he should be scoring, but he's getting a run of games because of it.
Do you think with the Garnacho thing, as I mentioned, like, because Anthony was so bad, he had, even Ten Hag had to take him out, which again, that shows
why.
you.
Yeah.
But do you think because of the Luton game where Garnacho he had a couple of really big chances.
Should have scored.
Like really big chances. And Ten Hag, last season, he did it, where I remember Garnacho, I forget who it was, he started at home against someone, and he missed a couple of like quite big chances, and then he didn't play again for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
I mean, he might come on. I can't remember who it was. It might have been, and clearly, like Ten Hag was not happy that he missed a couple of those chances. And I do look at that Luton game, and I think he might go again. Well, you know, and they might go, oh, Anthony came on, should have got an assist.
Yeah, and did all right. Yeah, because he's trying to get him going, and it's a tough atmosphere to go against.
And he might think, you know, because again, he likes the continuity of people that played with each other a lot before. I wouldn't be shocked in the slightest if that starting front three against Everton is Rashford on the left, Anthony on the right, and Martial through the middle. And he'll go, well, last season it worked, so why won't it work again this season?
Listen, I agree, and that is the sole reason why Garnacho is getting games, is because Anthony's so bad, Bruno's so bad on the right. We needed better balance and to get Anthony out of there. And the easiest way to do that was to put Marcus Rashford on the right-hand side, and the next best person on the left is Garnacho. But he's proved in that time still how raw he is. He's proved in that time still he's got a long way to go. And rightly so, he's got a long way to go. He's so young. He's so young. But some players, even though they're that young, can be like really, really good, like, you know, really effective and really clinical and really calm. He's not that yet. He's still snatching at chances. He engages the defender because he's raw and he's quick and he's fast and he wants to be aggressive with the ball. So that's a good, that's a good trait. He works hard without the ball, gets back in, but
he carries it a lot as well.
He carries the ball. He tries to get at people. So he does do it a lot right. But when it comes to being decisive and calm, in the clinical moments, he's not doing it. He didn't do it against Copenhagen at home.
He said he had a chance against Copenhagen. Yeah,
should have scored. Should have scored against.
Did he have a chance against Galatasaray as well?
Can't remember.
I forget. But I saw a stat when they were playing, when the City were playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and Sky flashed it up on the screen because they were talking about Doku and progressive carrying of the ball, whatever. I didn't realize, or was it like was it dribbles? I think it might have been dribbles, because they're basically saying that Doku is unbelievable and both feet, traditional winger. Garnacho was second in that list in terms of the, but then you think about that and you go, well, yeah, that's his game, isn't it? He picks up and he just, takes people on and tries to go past them. But
which is a good start. It's a good place to start. Because look at Martinelli. Like, that's how he started. You start off raw, but you just go at people and then you just refine yourself.
And he gets in, and the positive is a bit like I was saying after the Luton game. The positive, I look at the Garnacho thing and go, wow, he gets chances, and a lot of them, he makes them for himself. Again, it makes and creates chances. So again, credit to him for that. But eventually, you got to start taking them. You can't be. And I know this is across the board. Everyone's wasting forward chances at the moment. So it's not just a Garnacho problem, is it, or anything like that? But got to be more clinical. And the irony is, when he was super clinical this season, like one of the times I can think of when I went, chance, scored, got ruled out, Arsenal. That was because that for me, I was like, is he going to score this one-on-one? It was a brilliant finish, excellent.
Yeah.
And when we saw that goal.
Real Sociedad last year.
Yeah,
Ronaldo laid him in.
Fulham,
really good finish.
Fulham away.
Fulham, when he came on off the bench against Wolves, sat down Semedo, good little slotted finish. The disallowed goal against Arsenal, good finish.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's a brilliant finish.
Yeah, so he can do it. But again, this is the problem at Man United, though. We want these youngsters, because the senior players aren't stepping up. We're asking these youngsters to come in and do it now. We're asking for a Kobe Mainoo, like you said yesterday, who's barely kicked a first team ball. You know what I mean? like to come in and save us. We're asking for young Garnacho. We're asking for young Højlund, which I get it. We spent 64 million on him. I get that. So it's like, you've spent all this money on this guy to be your main striker. I don't want to hear any excuses. He's the main striker. I get it. But he's still only 20. Scored only 9 goals last year. He's still learning. He's still so raw. And we need these guys to do it now, because senior guys like Martial can't help. Anthony's a senior guy, can't help. Rashford on the left, not really helping, is he, at the minute? Bruno not helping. Like, you know, we just haven't been good collectively.
Even the Eriksen thing, I've seen that reaction to it when like, Eriksen's out. They go, right, Kobbie Mainoo's time. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not playing down the kid's quality, but we've got to be so careful. Like how 18, I think he is, and he's just been out of action for like 3 months. What was it? July? He's just come back now. So that's what? July, August, September, October, November, like 4 months with a serious knee injury. And we're saying, like, put him back in the Premier League. How many games he played in the Premier League? Has he started a game in the Premier League? Maybe once.
He hasn't. No, I don't think he has.
I don't. He's come on. I know he started a senior game for United because he started Carabao Cup against Charlton last season.
Oh, Carabao Cup, yeah.
But again, this is a kid that's barely stepped foot on the grass in the Premier League. And we're now saying because he had a good couple of games in pre-season.
Yeah, it was like
that he's ready for the Premier League and high-profile matches in a team that's not playing very well as well. Coming back from a knee injury, you just go, let's just park the brakes. Not to play down his ability, because I think everyone's of agreement that he could be a top player for United. But it's also about managing them and also hoping that their bodies don't break down in 10 years' time, because we rushed him back from a knee injury at 18 when, you know, some people are still developing at that age, right? So we just got to be very, very, very careful, and just expectations, because we've done this a million times, not just with young players, but with signings. Just signing, this person's the answer. This person's the solution. It's Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo might come in and he might be fantastic. And I really hope so. And again, I do think he's got a really bright future. And had he stayed fit throughout the preseason, then maybe he would have been involved with Wolves in that first game of the season, and it might have been something completely different. But at the same time, again, he's just come back from a knee injury. There is a reason he's playing under 23s football at the moment, is just to play football, not to put too much pressure on him, not help his recovery from injury. He was on the bench for the game against Luton at the weekend. Like, his time will come. His time will come, you know, and to hope and put those, you know, expectations on, you know, a young person who's barely played any Premier League football, that he's going to come on the pitch and turn Manchester United's season around. That is just, you just go,
it's not be silly. That's what I mean. Obviously, we want that to happen. We want that story. You know, we want it. We want it to be like that. But we can't kid ourselves, man. And we can't overcook these young players. Look when we were so awful under Ralph Rangnick, but Ollie before that season, should I say, when everyone was like, forget these players, just play the kids. And he was like, why? Like, they don't deserve this shit. Do you know what I mean? Poor Hannibal. I never forget it in that game, not 7-0. The year before Anfield, that, where we got smashed at Anfield. Hannibal comes off the bench and doesn't get, you know, Harry Maguire was giving him shit passes, making him have to stretch and get yellow cards because he's late tackle, because his crap pass, and just no care and attention and leadership for the youngsters. No, you know, people being a role model and setting an example to the young players to calm them down. No one that young Hannibal could look to his left, look to his right and go, I'm in good hands. I'm cool here. I'm away at Anfield, you know. So the environment is not stable enough to bed youngsters in. The football and the team, and as Ten Hag says, the routines of the team are not stable enough to bed in young players. That's why he's trying to keep them away as much as possible. But it's been so bad at times he's had to go. Yeah, young Hannibal, these senior pros ain't running. They're not even running about the pitch. So I tell you what, you're coming on. And I tell you what, and he scored. You're going to start against Burnley. You're going to start this game against Crystal Palace at home, because and then, like you said, in that period, I know you can't take too much from it, but I remember you saying he had like the highest running stats, didn't he? Or
highest running stats in the league, or some of the highest running stats since Ten Hag arrived at the club.
So
that kind of
obviously
stuff.
It doesn't mean we've seen the downsides. It's picking it slim.
Even that's an indictment.
How bad it was.
Exactly.
That's how bad it was.
Look at the senior players. Why aren't you doing that?
There you go. Why aren't you doing that? So at times, Ten Hag's been forced through injury or through absolutely disgraceful form to go, got to play the young kid. But then look, as soon as he can, he gets them back out. He's not trying to base this whole thing, trying to play them, because now we haven't really seen Hannibal again since then, apart from Newcastle at home the other week where we got smashed. So he's keeping them out the fray. He's keeping them away from it. So don't expect, back to your point, don't expect that kind of Kobbie Mainoo thing to happen anytime soon.
Paul Lucas says here, Giggs was only 17. But even with that, you go, but I mean, Ryan Giggs, one of the greatest players ever in Manchester United history, generational talent. And also as well, when you're talking about Kobbie Mainoo specifically, he didn't just come back from a 3-month knee injury, you know what I mean, to play in a Manchester United side that was, doing awfully or doing terribly.
But who did he? And also, more to the point, which is what we're talking about, because you can always say you never know if they're going to be the next best player ever at the age of 17, because how do you know until you play him?
Yeah.
Look at what Giggs came into. Yeah, if you look at the class of 92 and what they came into, the structure they came into. They came into Schmeichel,
senior
Pallister,
pros.
Bruce, Cantona, like, you know what I mean? Keane was there shortly after that. Like, Ince,
Brian Robson, yeah.
Brian Rob, like, let's not. Like, this is what we're talking about. The stability and the leaders that were around them guys. Big Steve Bruce going to say, don't worry, kid, I got you.
Yeah.
Big Robbo saying, don't worry. Paul Ince, warrior. I know, obviously, he's left and gone to Liverpool, and we changed our mind a bit. But
you
at the
see
end
your
of the day,
players,
top draw player. Eric Cantona. You're looking around, do you know what I mean? Mark Hughes. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, these are big players that if you're a young guy, you're a young kid, and you're nervous as hell. You know what I mean? You're blowing out your ass. You're nervous. You're quaking in your boots. Nah, you're going to look to your left, look to your right, look up the top of the pitch, look down the back of the pitch and go, I'm with some big players. They'll sort me out. I'm all right here.
That's why City have been able to integrate, their youngsters really well whenever they show up. It's because, like, when you've got a winning team and a team full of world-class players, you can play a youngster if you want one game, because it's not going to matter. You know what I mean? The expectation isn't on them. The pressure isn't on them. I mean, we're talking about, again, Kobbie Mainoo or these youngsters when we go play the kids, as if like they're going to be our best players. Like, exactly. They're going to turn it around for us. That expectation is massive. And then when they inevitably don't, and I think you say football sink or swim, but when they inevitably don't, then suddenly they're rubbish, they're washed, we get rid of them. We overhype the youngsters and we gas up the youngsters. And you go, well, they never had a chance. They never had a chance in the first place. And again, on top of coming back, as I mentioned, time and time again, a serious injury. I've seen so many people over the last, why is Kobbie not playing? Why is Kobbie not? Well, a couple of weeks ago was one of the Champions League games. Why is Kobbie not playing? Why is he not playing away at FC Copenhagen? You go, you kidding me? Like, away in the Champions League? Like, he just come back from injury. Why is he playing in the under-19s game? I can't believe it. And you just have to go, like, I know we want instant gratification. I know we want it now, but sometimes now is not the right time for good reasons. Because what we definitely don't want is, one, him to re-aggravate the injury, and two, we don't want him to burn out, and we don't want to put that pressure on him and that expectation on him. He will come good eventually. His time almost certainly will come at Manchester United, but not for the sake of running him into the ground and putting him into a situation where he's destined to fail, because 100%. That's not how.
Which is what we do time and time again. We've ruined everyone's careers at Man United recently in the last 10 years. Through players, okay, not being accountable for themselves, but also the mess that happens when people walk through the door at Man United. They pretty much always leave with a stained reputation afterwards. They never go up. Glenn Boy says, maybe we should, thanks for the super chat, says maybe we should try Anthony on the left. I can't see that. The balance of how we play, and, Ten Hag trying to get some routines himself. He's never really done that before, has he? That's just, I can't see that happening. But in the same way, we've stumbled across Marcus Rashford on the right where he's forced to cross it. Imagine putting Anthony on the left where he's forced to just get past his man.
What would he be forced to do? What would he be forced to do on the left?
Oh, I don't know.
Realistically,
I don't know. Find a red shirt. I don't know. Nothing.
He would be forced to do.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Yeah,
I guess Anthony. It would be the same as Rashford. Like because the Anthony thing is, he is so easy to defend against because he is just going to cut inside or he's going to pass it backwards. He's never going to try and, drop the shoulder or just try and go past you, go around. wait for the over. He's just not going to do that.
He's
So if he was on the left, like what does he do? Like put balls in the box, maybe?
Well, it'd just be predictable the other way around, where he's just trying to kick it past you, go down the left.
This time he's definitely not going to cut inside because he can't do it. I don't know.
No, it is really difficult, and I honestly, they've got to start scoring these forwards, man. They've got to, bro.
But then when it comes to Anthony, this is also the other part. We're saying these people got to start scoring. Like Anthony wasn't scoring a ton of goals last season anyway.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
So when we're saying people got to start scoring, we're basically saying Martial's got to score when he comes in, because it will be Martial. Rashford's got to get back on form because we needed his goals last season. And Bruno said it himself, I think it was to you in pre-season, wasn't it? When he said, look, I wasn't happy with my numbers last season. Because when you look at his numbers in terms of goals scored, what we would expect from Bruno. The problem with Bruno too is that his first couple of seasons at United, because he was like top goal scorer, Bruno Fernandes, insane numbers. For a number 10, insane numbers that people kind of look to that, and you sort of realize that just was not sustainable for him at the time. And he's got a different role. When he played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he might as well have been a striker.
Yeah,
he was a number 10,
striker.
but he was a second striker.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't do that. He drops deeper. When he's not on the ball as well, he starts chasing the game, starts trying to do Hollywood Bruno passes, forcing it through. So his numbers aren't the same. So you do, like, I saw the comparison of, the top, whatever it is now in the Premier League, top 8, top 10, and all their front threes and goals scored this season. And most of them are on like 10, 15, 20, us 1. That Rashi goal against Arsenal, you go,
oh mate, honestly,
that's us starting, because that's also been the thing, hasn't it? Is that for all of the injuries and the complaints and all this kind of stuff, I know Højlund didn't start the first 4 games of the season, cool, and I know he's injured now, but for the last however many weeks, like our strongest three's been started.
It's been there, bro.
Anthony was gone a little bit, obviously for those when he's back in Brazil, but I get in the defense, you go, well, you gotta get Leach back, you gotta get Shaw back, midfield, you gotta get this person in, blah blah blah. But like up front, like kind of been there.
We've had it. We've had who else do you want?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah. Who else do you want? And that's the thing where we're looking at it going, you know what? They've got to just take accountability. They've got to just take it on the chin and start flipping performing. Because
where do they come from? Where do the goals come from, do you think? Do you think it is just a case of they just snap into it? Can you see that?
At some point, I'm going to say, yeah. We can't go a whole season with these guys.
Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it, though.
Because Victor Lindelof and Casemiro and Varane and Harry Maguire and McTominay, you can't rely on them. And you shouldn't be relying on them to get you goals. The forwards are paid the big bucks to do the hardest thing in football, which is put the ball in the back of the net. And thank God we've had a few of the defenders and a few players, unlikely players. Dalot steps up Sheffield United away. That looked like, I know he was in control in that game and had a few chances in the second half, but it did have the feel of, I don't think it's going to be our day. No one's going to score. And you just need a bit of magic. That was the only way we were going to do it. Same with Bruno against Fulham. You're going, it's not our day. All right, we're not under massive trouble. We don't look like massively conceding. But we can't score. This is going to be 0-0. Yeah. This is going to be 0-0. They're not going to score. Bit of magic right at the end. Like, it's constant.
And talk about pinning hopes on one player. We've kind of done it with Højlund anyway, because we keep going, when he gets service, he'll score. You know what I mean? He's go, well, we still got to get the service first. And Højlund's not, and I think Højlund's ceiling is very high. And I do think we've got a rough diamond. And I do think he's rough. I think he's far from his finished form or anything like that, but he's not perfect either. I mean, he's sort of shown that he can, if he gets a couple of chances in the game, he might miss a couple, and as I said, I think a lot of his frustration stems from at other clubs. If a striker gets a couple of chances and they miss them, they're annoyed because they want to score every single chance they get. But at least there's a general acceptance of, I'll get some more though. They'll create for me in this game. At United, if Rasmus Højlund misses 2 chances in a game, he goes, well, then I'm not going to score today.
Yeah, you don't know when he's going to get another one.
Because 2 chances is above the norm for me this season, So scoring goals, man. And that's why I say, but then in fairness, and this is the positive I was talking about after Luton, it's not as if I'd be far more concerned if chances weren't created. If we were completely dry.
Well, that's what it was before that.
if we were completely dry, no chances, nothing, I'd be like, well, what are we going to do then? But you look at certain games this season, Luton's an example. When we played against Copenhagen at home, we should have won. We won 1-0. We should have won that game at least by 3 or 4. With the chances.
They started off all right, but then when we got to 1-0, we were on them, and we should have made it 2-0.
Yeah, like you said, Garnacho, I think was a
Rashford had one. He was running through, hit off his shin, then went out for a goal kick.
The Bruno one. Was that Galatasaray?
No, that was Galatasaray where Rashford was running with it and should have cut it back. To him and didn't.
So it's not as if we're not making chances in these games. This is my point after Luton. It's not as if we're not making chances. So that's, I guess, a positive to take out of the negative. But they got to start scoring eventually, Flex. Like, we just can't. And that's been the case for a long time. I look back to these games that we have lost this season. I go back to Spurs, I go back to Arsenal, go back to whoever it may be, even Bayern Munich when that game, when we started the game off, like 20 minutes FC, in that 20 minutes, we'll make a couple of chances.
Yeah.
We will. We just won't score them. We'll go, we started well, should be 1-0 up, and then they score, and then we collapse. It's the same story over and over and over again. So just eventually break the cycle, put the ball in the back of the net in that 20 minutes, and suddenly the game looks a bit different.
Yeah. And that's the key. We have to start being more clinical. We've got to start scoring goals. If we don't, it's going to be in massive trouble. There's no other way around it. It's going to run out. Like, you can't go Newcastle away. You can't play Chelsea at home. You can't play bloody Liverpool away. You can't play, all these hard teams away, Galatasaray, all that, and just keep relying on maybe Harry Maguire will score a header, or maybe Lindelof will get, a clear shot, a goal, or Dallo can cut in and bit of magic. Like, we can't. The forward.
We played Newcastle last season. Remember we played Newcastle last season and we lost. Even that game, I remember we're going, actually, we had chances earlier on. We started the game all right. People forget.
We got run up on then at 2-0.
Yeah, but that second, we started the game all right.
Minute 1. We got rinsed in that game.
Anfield. Anfield's another example. You lost 7-0,
definitely. I was 7-0. We actually, for 40 minutes, we were fine.
We had chances. You can mean, and that's when you look at it and you go, the games could and should be so different. So different. So Everton away, Newcastle away. I don't doubt we will get chances in that game. I don't doubt it. But whether or not we actually score them, I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
And then that leads to what we know. But also, there's also a chance with Newcastle in particular. Don't know how they're going to be by then. They're going through a tough moment. They've got loads of injuries as well. But the atmosphere there and what they do is always up there. They could just out-muscle us, outwork us. And that's where we're in big trouble as well. Copenhagen didn't really do it to us. I think in the second game against Copenhagen, they let us have the ball. They wasn't really pressing. And then we started, our patterns and routines were good. So we just kept creating. We was on them. But a team that really does put it on Man United, like Newcastle, I still don't think we have what it takes yet to deal with that level of physicality. Again, a Liverpool away, they're going to run up on you. They're going to be really physical, high up. That in this moment, or this present crop of games, same with Everton, but they've got less quality, so we might be able to exploit that and nick that against them. But against Newcastle in particular, and then when it gets to Liverpool, that's what I fear, that this team's just not ready physically for just straight out and out war. Out and out, do you know what I mean? Mentality monsters, out and out men just going mad on the pitch. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's when you need, I know it sounds crazy, but that's when you just need the heart and the desire, the things that we moan about. But you need that first, and then you earn the right to play in those sorts of games. You have to match that. Although Arsenal lost against Newcastle, right, and Newcastle did quite well, there was large parts of that game when the atmosphere was up at the start. They got all the banners out and the flags and all that, and Arsenal just played their game, and they were as physical as Newcastle, to the point where, yes, Havertz could have got a yellow, red, and then Bruno does it. Bruno Humorous does, but they were matching it. Gabriel's going, do you know what I mean? You need that. You need that. You can't.
And and you got to ride your luck.
And you got to ride your luck. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, listen, some tough games coming up. Hopefully the injuries ease. Hopefully this team can start scoring goals. But yes, we've come to the end of today's show.
You got to believe, Flex.
We do have to believe. We do
You have to
believe.
say it with chest.
You better watch out because we are come for you.
VK says, if you're good enough, you're old enough. That's the United way. We sent off our greatest legend, Sir Bobby, who broke into the team at 17 from our academy. Listen, that is the very DNA. You know, that is our DNA. That is what we were brought up on. 100% agree with you there, VK.
I saw Sir Alex do the. He did an interview yesterday. Spoke to journalists, and he basically credited his whole United career to Sir Bobby.
Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Bobby. Yeah.
Exactly. Imagine that. That is our greatest ever manager saying that. You know, Dipper says, Flex, don't undermine their mentality. How would you feel if someone told you you were weak? Well, I'm just going off the evidence in the football context of how they deal with adversity, and the evidence shows me that we're mentally weak. If you see that as they're mentally strong, then
I think the natural reaction to that would be prove it, wouldn't it?
You know? Yeah, prove me wrong. Exactly.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. Guys, smash the like on the video. We'll be back with another video very, very soon here on United View. Keep it locked. We are out of here. Peace.